Condrea and Glenn Schofield have zero integrity. They are extremely dishonest and extremely selfish. The only two things that they care about is their own personal bonus, which is multi-millions, and the amount of control that they have over their employees' bonus. They will promise you the world if it motivates you to work your butt off for their benefit. They will promise huge life-changing bonuses, but at the end of the project, after you have killed yourself, it will go into their pockets. You will literally work 80-hour weeks for months straight. In the end, the only thing life-changing about working here will be that you have no life. These two founders bathe in the blood of their employees. For example, 1 week after the crappy bonuses were paid from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare with lots of excuses about how bad the game sales were, Glenn comes in bragging about how he paid cash for a brand new loaded Audi R8. Then went to Hawaii for 3 weeks while everyone was still crunching on DLC. So what the fuck kind of coincidence is this? When a day later after reading this Reddit post, both Michael Condrea and Glenn Schofield are now transitioning into executive duties over at Activision. Now it could be one of two things, but first and foremost, that is an incredible leak, and I'm hoping that it's true, because for someone to write this in great detail and be lying would be terrible for the reputation of both Condrea and Schofield. But if this is true, and we're just gonna believe that it is for the sake of this video, then these are two of the biggest fucking scumbags that I've probably ever heard work on video games. Now, I kind of got the hint that Schofield is a fucking scumbag. I've kind of had that feeling ever since Advanced Warfare came out years ago, and I told my friends about it, so they knew exactly what I was thinking when I read this Reddit post. But Condrea, a lot of people had a really weird vibe around him when meeting him at certain events. Seemed a bit sarcastic. So to read this now sort of solidifies everybody's doubts in these heads of Sledgehammer Games. And if this is in fact the case, then it could definitely support the theory that Sledgehammer was pretty far along development with Advanced Warfare 2 before Activision told them, hey, you have to do boots on the ground. What the fuck are you guys doing? So they had to put their current plans aside and just rush right into development for World War II. So if that's the case, yes, the devs were of course overwhelmed, felt really fucked over, but for the heads of Sledgehammer to then put them through those circumstances at work, working 80-hour weeks, that is unconstitutional. That is fucked up. I don't even know a word to describe that fucked up shit that's going on over there. Call of Duty is easily the most successful series of all time. Maybe not the #1, but is probably the best-selling series almost every year. So what's funny is that they can release a pile of shit and people will still buy it. I wouldn't, but I know there's hundreds of other people, millions of other people that would. And it's just incredible that the dev teams are being treated like shit when the community is always bitching about this is getting fixed. What is really happening behind closed doors that's causing a lot of those issues? Why aren't issues being resolved faster? I'm not saying Treyarch's like that. I'm not saying Infinity Ward's like that. We do know a huge issue occurred with the Infinity Ward team after the launch of Modern Warfare 2. It led to a majority of the devs splitting apart. Most of them went along, formed their own development team known as Respawn that later created Titanfall, which is fairly successful nonetheless. And the other devs stayed, but of course their team wasn't big enough to then develop Modern Warfare 3, which Activision definitely wanted at the time. So they of course partnered with Sledgehammer Games, so they of course co-developed it with them. And we of course had help from Raven Software during that time as well. But in terms of the two heads leaving and everybody else staying, this is the first time that's happened. And I think it's shocking news because of the following points that I wrote down. First off, we haven't even hit DLC 2 yet. So is it a coincidence that we saw that Reddit post and a day later the devs are getting moved around? We have Condrea and Schofield being moved to executive duties, and then we have a new individual who I've never heard of, but Aaron Halen is the new studio head of Sledgehammer going forward. So hopefully he does a good job. I know lately he's been releasing a bunch of patches for World War II that's kind of fixed the game up, gave it a little bit of a smoother feeling to it. ADS has been fixed, you name it. But it could be one of two things here. And I do believe that this Reddit post is true. I'll go on and say that right now. Mark my words. But it could be one of two things that's happened. Either this Reddit post got out and Activision got extremely embarrassed. They were like, holy shit. Maybe they knew about how Condrey and Schofield were treating their dev team, but they were like, fuck it. They're still pushing out content. You know, it's whatever. They can deal with it. But once this news got out, they were like, holy fuck, this isn't fake news. We have to go ahead and do something so that people don't hate us as well. And people already hate Activision. We all know that. I hate them. Everybody hates them. But for their PR not to look like a complete pile of shit, they had to make some changes. Let's move Condrey and Schofield away from Sledgehammer, maybe even away from Call of Duty, so that we don't have the worst reputation ever. And maybe later on, we'll sweep them under the rug during their executive duties, quote-unquote executive duties, and hopefully to let them go. And, you know, give them whatever they owe them, part of their contract, and boom, send them out the door. Maybe that's the plan. And if it's not, then it's this other thing that I fear. It could be that they're so happy with how Condrey and Schofield essentially put together this microtransaction / supply drop system, which they implemented in Advanced Warfare. They're so happy with that they said, you know what? You've done your part, guys. You've made 2 Call of Duties now. Both have been pretty successful, and you made a crap ton of fucking cash with the supply drop system. So you know what? You two belong over here at Activision to overlook some new projects and work on some future microtransaction systems. Maybe that's what it is, and if that's the case, then that's fucking scary. To have both of these fucking scumbags, these tools, these fucking assholes working at higher power, overseeing maybe not even Call of Duty games, but other titles that either are going to be sequels to past games or just new IPs altogether, and implementing more bullshit supply drop systems, more loot crates, more cosmetic shit, and more unbalanced variants of different items and tools and weapons. That's fucked up. And I hope that's not the case, but a little voice inside me says it is, because Activision wouldn't just remove the heads of a studio that's currently developing content for the current Call of Duty game, one of the biggest titles that Activision owns and publishes. So that's my 2 cents on what's been going on, but I don't believe that their new roles are related to Call of Duty, and I hope they aren't, because people are already panicking and saying, oh fuck, Treyarch's next Call of Duty is fucked if you have Condrey and Schofield making decisions for it. Here's the thing about that. Let's say that's the case. Let's say that they do have some creative control over Call of Duty games altogether. Treyarch is a phenomenal dev team. They haven't had any issues with lawsuits and other bullshit that Infinity Ward or Sledgehammer have had. So they can hold their own weight, and they can create tons of content. They can create a huge, massive Call of Duty like Black Ops 3. Push out fantastic content. Maybe not perfect, but phenomenal content. A great DLC season, and still work on a DLC 5, aka Zombies Chronicles, while developing a majority of that DLC season, and then on top of that working on their next game. They can hold a lot of weight, they can do a lot of work. I'm pretty sure they don't need some bullshit opinions or some retarded ass supply drop system that are being recommended by Condrey and Schofield. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But we do know that the supply drop system in Black Ops 3 was implemented at the very last minute, or I should say the black market altogether was implemented at the very last minute, and Treyarch didn't intend for such a loot system. They were forced to do so by Activision. We know for a fact even Vanderhaar wasn't happy with that. He took a vacation during the week that Treyarch had to implement more bullshit into Black Ops 3, stuff they didn't originally intend to release. Either they would have released all those DLC weapons and melee weapons with their map packs, which would have been great. It would have really just changed what DLC map packs are for Call of Duty, or they would have just gave them out for free, or even as little microtransaction purchases, which would have been fine. Paying $2 to $3 for a weapon to have forever, I'm totally fine with that, versus gambling, trying to get what you want. Black Ops 3's supply drop system was probably the worst. There's some terrible luck. Everything is RNG, we of course know that, but there's no other alternative to earning a new weapon. There aren't any contracts or challenges to unlock a weapon or to get credits to later craft it, like we have in Modern Warfare Remastered and even World War II. There weren't any alternatives, so you're just gambling to get what you want. World War II and Modern Warfare Remastered had, maybe even Infinite Warfare, had an easier system where if you didn't get it from simply gambling, you could of course use credits or duplicate items to then craft the weapon of your choice. And that's a great step in the right direction towards helping the community get what they want without spending too much money, a way to get it for free. That's the way you go about it. I don't blame Treyarch for not doing that, because they didn't plan on doing so. And they were even told that supply drops wouldn't return in Black Ops 3 at launch. So they had no type of creative control over whether or not they had to implement it after the launch of their fucking game. They had no plan to do it, and Activision told them at the last minute, you have to do it. So how do you think Treyarch felt? So going back to what I was saying earlier, I highly doubt that Treyarch gives a shit what Condrey and Schofield have to say, but if it comes down to that, worst case scenario, then yes, they'll have to listen to whatever ideas they have with implementing microtransactions, and that's just the way it is. But other than that, they can hold their own way. They can create their own fucking game and another game at the same time, and a DLC 5 and an entire DLC season packed with passionate and thoughtful content that makes sense for the game. That's what I have to say about Treyarch. But other than that, hopefully their new positions aren't related to Call of Duty. But if this is the case, is Sledgehammer Games falling apart? That's just something to think about. Will they back off from Call of Duty in 2020? Will Raven or High Moon Studios take over their roles for the 3-year dev cycle? Or will it even become a 4-year dev cycle? We just don't know right now. But will they come back with the game in 2020 that surpasses both Advanced Warfare and World War II? Maybe it's Advanced Warfare 2, the game that they supposedly had to put aside in order to develop World War II. Maybe they're going to go back to that work, and since they already got a head start making it, it'll be easier for them to finalize the content they were working on and have even more content for the release in 2020. Is that going to be the case? We just have to wait and see, because I'm down for an Advanced Warfare 2. I think having 3 boots on the ground Call of Duties before going back to the future is perfectly fine. I'm down with it. I'll give it a chance. I'll put it like that. So let's see what they do in 2020 if they're even developing Call of Duty for that year. There were, of course, some bullshit rumors that now that the Activision CEO is stepping down, Condrey or Schofield's probably going to take up that duty. You have to be kidding me. I'm not going to touch on that too much, but that is bullshit. You're not going to have heads of development studios eventually become the CEO, the head of a massive publishing company that manages not just Call of Duty, but dozens of other games, dozens of other pieces of content. Shareholders would laugh, investors would laugh. There's no way they have the clearance to even do that, or the education, let alone. So don't even worry about that. But if that does happen, then I don't know. The world is ending. That is fucking ridiculous. Now, last but not least, I was also going to say maybe the reason World War II was lacking is because of some of these issues. Devs weren't motivated to create a passionate, boots-on-the-ground Call of Duty. That's just the way I see it, based on that Reddit post. You had scumbags telling you what to do and how to do it, and maybe some things couldn't be accomplished on time. Maybe there wasn't enough time to develop some of the content Condrey and Schofield wanted, that in order to make these new score streaks, the headquarters, some of the multiplayer maps, in order to make that, they had to put aside some of the other core features of the game, like Paint Shop, and say, okay, we'll work on it later. But of course, things pile up. You gotta develop DLC, you gotta develop microtransactions, more grips for the fucking guns, useless shit, just to go along with the supply drop and microtransaction practices that the game requires. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. This has been dkdynamite. I wanted to put in my 2 cents regarding this new situation. It's scary because it's either one of 2 things, as I said, and I'll remind you guys, it's either Activision responding to this crazy Reddit post and saying, hey, we don't want our PR to look bad, let's just, sweep them under the rug little by little. Or it's that they're actually happy with these 2 fucking scumbags and they want to reward them by giving them a huge promotion, bigger salaries, and they're able to overlook not only Call of Duty but other titles as well. I'm hoping it's not that one, but just keep in mind, with Activision, there's always a chance that something negative is definitely about to happen. So let me know what you guys think. I'll leave some links down below in the description. Read up on that Reddit post, take it as you may, take it with a grain of salt, but I do think that for someone to put that kind of detail into that post, it probably means it's true and probably answers the question as to why World War II was essentially a game that didn't live up to the hype, But other than that, let's just stay positive right now as a community. Let's look forward to Treyarch's next Call of Duty. And if you're continuing to play Fortnite or other free-to-play games or any other titles, since you're not happy with World War II, then go ahead and do so. More power to you. But hopefully our community comes back stronger and better than ever for Treyarch's next COD, just as the community was with Black Ops 3. So close, very interactive on Reddit, posting positive content. And some nice criticism for Treyarch so they can fix small tweaks that had to be messed with. But overall, let's just see what happens. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out, YouTube.
So Michael Condrey posted on the World War II subreddit, which is pretty much the official hub for discussion on COD World War II. And at the time of posting this video, it has 0 upvotes. 0 upvotes. God knows how many downvotes it has, but it is an official statement from Sledgehammer Games basically saying that reduced sprint out times are a crutch perk and that they're not going to change it. And also, he spelled balloon wrong. It's B-A-L-L-O-O-N, you fucking idiot.